Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, Rocket Mortgage, classic picks, bets, preview, recap of the Travelers Championship, and everything else in between. A reminder to you out there to smash the like button for the episode. Give me your favorite long shot bet down in the comment section. Sub to Mayo Media Network. All of the final bets and final info and updated stuff that happens throughout the week. Like the weather is all available in the newsletter coming out for free on Wednesday evening. You can get the link down in the description to go sub to that now, so you can just have it emailed to you. Make it easy on yourself. Geoff Fienberg is on the line. We missed out last week. My guy won in Europe. Paul's guy won in America, and neither of us bet them.
I thought you might have had Lawrence. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to ask you because that would be borderline trolling from betters know betters, and you don't ask a guy if you didn't see anything come up, and I'm not gonna poke that. I'm shocked. I'm more shocked about Paul and maybe Keegs. I don't feel like I missed any of them. I don't ride or die this thirsty Lawrence, and I'm never really bet Keegs, although I'm always happy for him. So there it is.
Do you think this gets, I went and looked at the updated Ryder Cup standings, and they're not updated from now, for after the Travelers Championship, at least on the site, it's not updated. And I'm going to have a bigger discussion about the Ryder Cup on tomorrow's show with EPAT before we get to Tambo breaking down the DraftKings picks on Wednesday. But I think he's a really good fit for this course in Rome.
Yeah, he's a great fit. He's a better fit than Cam Young.
Yeah, Cam Young is not on this team.
And some other bodies that have kind of held their name in pole position, at least by ranking. Yeah, it seems like a good fit.
If it
he's now steamed up the board, and they all just kill. Ricky's playing great, but these guys who now I guess just auto pass him, winning these tournaments. That's crusher. Ricky's dead now.
Hey,
playing awesome.
He needs to win. He needs to win this week, have a top 5 at the Open, and then he's back at least in the conversation. But that's 2 wins for Keegan during this Ryder Cup period because he won in Japan during the swing season last year. He's had some good majors performances too. He kind of peters out towards the end. I was just thinking back. I was looking at the leaderboard at the Italian Open this year, the one that Meronk won. And I'm like, Keegan's kind of like good Meronk, so that's a perfect fit.
Keegan is Billy Horschel with a major. They win quality events. They have this really nice resume of great events. Obviously, Keegan has the major, so his resume is better. But the hometown event for Keegan is plus an elevated. That's a half major to a guy like Keegan.
It's a lot of money for Keegan Bradley, for one thing. I'm just looking at his career.
A lot of
wins.
money for Zach Blair.
Yeah, he made more money this week than I think he had in his previous 6 years or something like that.
Incredible. That's maybe part of the magic. Maybe we shouldn't why no cut or the cuts are fun and letting those guys in. I'm also weirded out. How did he even get in this event in the first place?
I believe he qualified for it. And it's funny because I pointed to the Valspar having considerable crossover with the Travelers Championship, and obviously that's the place where he went full Keegan, but it's also the only other spot Zach Blair has played well this year. It's miscut, somehow he had a top 10 at the Valspar.
Whatever, great for him. It's fun, when he was first busting on, and Johnny Miller would talk about him all the time because their sons were friends. Now Zachy's back and he looks like Phil Kessel even more. It's great. But yeah, this Ryder Cup thing it's pretty interesting. Although if you're a fan of Europe and you're they're talking about Keegan, maybe that also makes you be I don't know, bring Keegan. You want to bring Keegan? Bring Keegan.
It all depends on whether the live guys are actually eligible to play or not, because there's no world where they're not taking Dustin over Keegan if he's eligible to be picked. Brooks is on the team. He's going to go. I don't know about the other guys. Looking at Keegan's career wins, he won the Byron Nelson in 2011. It was also the same year he won the PGA Championship, and then he won the Zozo earlier this year. Just hold on a second. I have it fucking in front of me here. Just give me a moment.
Thought you were going in career order.
No, I'm not going in career order. I have a point to this.
Okay, sorry. Started at Nelson. Sorry.
Byron Nelson, he wins. The Zozo, he wins. Two lesser type events. And you're right. The other ones that he has are like really quality events. He won the BMW Championship, a playoff event in 2018. He won the WGC Bridgestone the year after he won the PGA Championship, and now he has an elevated event. Like, he only has the 6 wins, but 4 of them are against the best of the best.
Yeah, he's sort of, again, I think about him sometimes like I think about Horschel, another guy who I never bet, but they got this weird way, and in some ways it felt like Horschel at Memorial last year, just waxing these guys, just waxing them. And based on the course history and the number, maybe that's something I should have swam around. I will say this elevated events thing, Pat, it's kind of really thrown me for a loop in some respects. In some ways, like, I bet them like I would want to bet the bigger end events, thinking the good players win. That's sort of the pattern we've gotten. But again, this coming out of a major, I think really opens the door a bit more. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it. So yeah, great for Keegs. And that was fun. You know, they were riding the kids all week from round 1. So it was good to see that paid off at the end. And I loved seeing the tournament gave the kids little trophies. I love that shit. So yeah, what a win. Hometown event? That was like Nick Taylor.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. Here's the crazy thing with Keegan, because we know for years, like when you look at all of his career rounds, he's a career loser on the greens. But in his past 20 events, he's gaining an average of 3.1 strokes on the green, mainly. And we talk about like who are the guys who have spike putting weeks out of nowhere. Gained 7 strokes putting this week. At the Memorial, he gained 5.4. At the Farmers earlier this year, in just 3 rounds, gained 7 on the greens. Now, this is a guy who would once like drop strokes on the green in 18 straight events. So he has done something with his putter that it's not overly consistent, although it's getting to be more consistent from time to time. Like, very rarely do you see him just drop 6 strokes like he used to over the course of 2 rounds. But it's very reminiscent of what Webb Simpson did when he got his game back together. How he went from being a class putter, won a major very early in the the teens, whatever the hell we're calling it. And then he didn't necessarily go away. He was around, but the dude couldn't fucking putt to save his life. And then all of a sudden he's the best putter on the planet. Like, Keegan has been pretty amazing on and around the greens over the past 4 months. I don't know what's happened.
That's a great comp, at least in our little window of, a great resume. And Keegan even admitted it took him way longer than he thought to get comfortable. And I guess even the old putter thing was never comfortable for Keegan. I like that. I didn't think about that one bit, but I can, as you said, that sort of rang true to me. Former major champion, never like totally disappeared, didn't hit rock bottom, but in terms of like winning, was sort of abandoned from that because he could never get any sort of like hot putting weeks going. And if he's found it, maybe there's more there for Keegan, and took a lot of notoriety this weekend, but he has gone to the Aim Point. It's obviously worked for him. He tilted a lot of people, including the broadcast, and I didn't see much of Bros Beautiful's weekend here. Between this and next week and the John Deere, this might be like the window where I actually see the least amount of weekend golf. Because I'm not going to do things.
I'm not going to pretend to sit here and like I was glued. I mean, I'm always glued to golf Thursday and Friday just because it's on during the day. I film and then I go like watch a bunch of golf. But on the weekend, like I had 2 birthday parties with my kids this week. I snuck out on the golf course. I had like a 4-hour period where I can get out, and I quit after 9. It was one of the worst experiences I ever had playing golf. It was awful.
Like, because you played poorly, or
I wasn't playing great. I went to Minnesota and played with Moose.
You just felt rushed.
No. It was the guy. My course, the tee sheet was full, so I was like, all right. So my friend and I, who I'm a member with out there, we'll go to this other course. It's probably the hardest course around, but it's really nice. And I've tended to play it well over time. And I wasn't striking it poorly. I wasn't striking it good at the same time. Although, I said, my game has kind of been in shambles since I went and played in Minnesota. Just something is off. I went to the 2 courses this week up at the north end of the province, 2 really nice links courses, and I didn't play well at all. I couldn't chip to save my life, and you know, when things start things start getting bad with your golf game until you get the one thing, whatever it is, corrected, it's just going to kind of spiral until that gets corrected. I feel like I'm in the middle of that right now. So I need to go to the range and work out what's going on here to get back to where I was like 3 weeks ago. Either way, I got paired up with these two guys. My buddy didn't make it at the last second. So it's me and these other two guys. Nice enough fellas. I'll give them that. But it might as well have been playing with like Paul Azinger. He had commentary on every fucking shot. And like he was too nice. I couldn't say anything to him, but it was just aggravating me. And there's nothing worse when some guy you don't know is trying to like, here's an example. On number 2, it's a shortish par 3. It's like 140 yards, and I hit one, didn't go straight. It went like left to right, and I was like, I need to clear this bunker. I'll be fine. I'll be on the right side of the green. It's very clearly going from left to right, and he's just sitting there. It's like, it's got to get left. It's like, it's not going to go fucking left, man. It's clearly slicing to the fucking right. It's just like, I'm losing my mind. I yelled at Cust once for it. Like, I completely sculled a chip across the green. He's like, oh, that's got to slow down. It's like, no fucking shit, Cust. It needs to fucking slow down. It's in the goddamn bunker across the fucking green. And I was just losing my mind the entire time. You know how angry I can get and very momentarily. And it was just taking all I had in not to yell at this guy because he was too nice. And like, I don't know, it was just, when you're not playing well, little things can set you off. And this was just sending me down like a fury spiral. I just had to stop after 9 because I didn't want to have to yell at the guy.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah. I know it's a very stupid thing. It was.
No, I hate getting out there. I don't like playing bad company golf. Like, golf can be hard enough. So you're out there, you're not enjoying your company, just the little things. And I'm not good enough or strong enough to overcome some of that stuff. So yeah, if something bothers me and I'm with like a stranger and you can't, like, at least if it's your friend, you can tell them to like fuck off.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
If it's Cust, I can tell him to go
or
fuck
you feel comfortable to just, you can tell him, you can be rude for like, you can just tell him how you feel and then it's like over and he won't like hold the grudge. And yeah, I know what you mean. I was a sacrificial lamb this weekend golfing because I was playing better than my friend who I never play better than again. And then it got to the point where he's being golf sad. So what did I have to do to like flip around the golf sad? With 5 holes left, I'm like, all right, you want to like play for something? So yeah, we put something on it and then boom, like he just pars in. I like couldn't do anything, and I'm not gonna beat you. I'm gonna lose my like. We play some bogey golf. You're gonna make your par in. You're gonna take my money. I'm not good enough to overcome that. But again, I was like, he even thanked me. He didn't even take the money because he's like, I think he did that because and the match was over before 18. And part of me is like, should we double or nothing this on 18? And I'm like, yeah, but if I lose 100, he's really gonna come looking for the money. And then on 18, he's like, yeah, I think you just did that to like get me to like play better. So thank you. You don't have to play me. Like he was so mad at himself. So I guess that worked out. But on to Keegan doing aim point from 3 feet. That really is pissing people off, including the broadcast, Pat.
If I don't like it. I think the aim point's ridiculous. But if you know how to do it, it seems to really work for a lot of these guys. So if I'm playing for $5 million, I'm going to do it.
Listen, if it's working, it's helping. I think they just want it banned from inside a certain footage. I think.
Yeah, if it's really causing a pace of play issue, then I completely understand it. But if it's not, who fucking cares?
To me, everything causes a pace of play issue. And again, it's one of these things. Keegan is always slow. But as we've sort of talked about maybe on last week's show, there might be the place where you are a little slower, but there's probably like 8, like everything else you do on the golf course, you're doing faster. So I don't want to pick on you for doing that. But I don't know. Speaking of slow players, have you seen these stories about this Pat Cantley mutiny attempt going on here versus the PGA Tour?
No, I didn't. What is this?
So apparently Cantley, who is, as we know, been very sly, and we've sort of spoken about it, how he's like very carefully played both sides of Live and PGA going back to the beginning. He's been rumored. He's been flirting with them from go, essentially, while at the same time being on the PGA like council or the like advisory board or part of that. Well, he's leading this mutiny now to in some ways turn on the merger because maybe he still wants his like full paycheck offer, but he, as golfers, he sees the competition as a good thing for them. Like he thinks like two competing bodies for them and for their money, or to pay them, is beneficial to maybe him. But yeah, he is leading apparently a strong campaign against this sucker, which is funny and weird.
I really like it. I mean, I think we've spoken before that Patrick Cantlay really could elevate himself up the, not necessarily popularity charts, but the notoriety charts by really filling that void that a lot of the live guys left. Like all the hated guys went to live. Cantlay could easily fill that role. That's what he should be doing here. Be the main PGA Tour villain.
Well, and I feel like we have kind of spoken about it before, but in different terms. In hindsight, yes, they all should have gone to live. Cantlay definitely should have gone to live for no other reason than outside. All this has shown, Pat, is that golfers have a very self-inflated sense of their worth. They think they're worth a lot of money. And it appears in a normal ecosystem, they're not worth nearly as much as they think, and they think they're worth a lot. And Patrick Cantlay is probably the epitome of guys who, as you said, like we said, can't even, a filing cabinet is more entertaining. He's boring as shit. The inflated self-sense of worth of a guy like Patrick Cantlay, who's like boring as fuck, is probably also what's driving the PGA broke.
I mean, are they not worth it, or are they worth it? Because I have no idea the sense of financials that the PGA Tour has. Like, they claim to be broke, but then they're not broke. And, like, people can point to Liv and how much money they're doing. It's like, oh, Liv is, really the big winner here. They're the big winner here because they have the deepest pockets. Like, they literally cannot go broke with the amount of money they have. But let's not try to pretend like Liv is turning a profit off all of this money. They're not even come close to breaking even. They're just a money pit of paying these players salaries that aren't worth it. Like, I don't know what the actual worth is for these golfers. Like, take Tiger out of the equation, because Tiger is legitimately worth that, and we knew he was worth that because Nike would give him all this money. Any endorsement company in the world is begging to have Tiger on their side because he moves the needle. And outside of really like Phil, maybe Rory, maybe Spieth, like, are any of these guys like, how much is Scotty Scheffler actually worth besides what he wins?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I don't know what they're worth. And you could probably add Ricky to that short list of guys that might actually be able to be worth something, that their true likeness is worth a lot of money. I don't know what Scotty Scheffler's likeness is.
There is a big tie-in for him, by the way. All he needs to do, remember when PXG started running all those ads, like they came out of nowhere and then they signed like Zach Johnson and like someone else and it didn't really work out for them. But they created like a niche in the market. There should be like a PXG type company that just comes from nowhere, develops a putter, and does a deal with Scotty Scheffler. And if he just randomly starts putting well through like a 4-month stretch, they'll sell 1 billion putters.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, for sure. He should get equity in
get
every
his equity.
stick sold.
Yeah. No, boom. I think he's already won like 18 million or something like that this year. I mean, he sells 3 million putters. He's gonna be worth a lot more than that.
I mean, he's Tiger Woods if he can putt. Yeah, so if you can learn to putt, you win, and you get to become like Roger Federer, then like good guy Tiger Woods,
sure,
like, whatever.
I mean, Tiger Woods was good guy Tiger Woods until he wasn't good guy Tiger Woods. I think we forget we forget about that.
I guess. I mean, you're right. It's hard to really know what they are worth, but it does seem pretty obvious that their self-sense, they're probably not worth as much as they think, because they think they're worth like a hell of a lot. And that's probably before Live. Live. But this new model can't sustain them, it seems, of, paying these insane purses. The sponsors were like, no, we want no part of this. Or the sponsors were saying, like, why do we have to triple our purses? FedEx is like your main sponsor. It's practically, it's huge stakes with Saudis. 3M this week, huge stakes with Saudis. Like, why do we have to pretend all we're doing by playing your moral game is costing us so much money, and purses that don't seem to be worth it for us as sponsors.
There are some guys who left who's like, it's not an artificial worth, but it's just very specific worth. Like Hideki is worth a lot because of the Japanese market that he commands. It really seems like Cam Smith had that hold in Australia as well. I'm sure Adam Scott had it before that, or even potentially Jason Day. Although I don't feel like Jason Day was as big of a star as Adam Scott was, coming onto the scene, winning the Players' Championship at 21 years old. And he's been a mainstay for 20 years now. Day got his major, but so did Cam Smith. He also won the Players, just like Jason Day did. But he seems to be a more popular figure, at least at this point in time. So there's selected guys because of the notoriety that they have in their own country and the ability to dominate that market that I do think really elevates them up how much their worth actually is. I'm starting to think that there was no live deal for Cantlay.
Okay, maybe that's the case. And you're right, Pat. Like Mike Weir, his worth in Canada for like a 20-year window, and he's got legacy worth as well in Canada, would be worth more than like players who are way better than him and maybe even more accomplished. But yeah, that's a finicky thing. But unlike in other sports, Hideki doesn't own the rights to sell PGA Tour TV rights in Japan. Like he has nothing to do with that.
No, but if he was on live, then all of a sudden they would probably get a TV contract in Japan.
And Hideki could make into his live contract that he gets a big cut of that live TD deal. TV deal. So you are, yeah, in many ways you're right. And to say live is the winner, I don't know that live is the winner because I don't know that it's going to exist. The winners are obviously the guys who wanted a seat at the table and bought it.
Yeah,
so I mean they get what they want.
That's what I'm talking about when I talk about live. Is there
yeah.
the PFL? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Maybe they'll come for the Chargers. Like these family-owned teams, Pat. Like they are so prime for the Saudis to just come in and be like, here's way more than your franchise is worth. Like you don't have money. Your team isn't owned by like a conglomerate like Home Depot or Walmart. Your team is owned by a family like the Davises, the Spanoses, even the Rooneys and the Maras. The Saudis could go off for the Bus family, $12 billion for the Lakers. That's where their money is. They don't own anything else.
I say that would be the best investment that the Saudis could make, would be buying the Lakers.
These family-owned teams.
How much would the Lakers sell for? Because didn't the Suns sell for $6 billion or something like that? Like the Lakers have to be worth at least double that. You'd think.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but these teams where the team is what the family owns. That's the family's source of income, not the family's toy. Those teams are the ones the Saudis are going to come after in each league. Those are the ones. I don't know if the leagues will let them, but like you buy into the NHL, you can slow roll into the other leagues, right? Isn't that how it'll work? They'll probably test an NHL franchise. Get in.
The NHL has dropped to such a point where the tester league is now like the NHL or the MLS.
You're right. The tester is probably MLS for North American sports. The NHL is, you're right. Like, let's test how the American public will handle us buying a team. League is probably MLS, not hockey. You're probably bang on.
It might be high. I'm saying that, before it would be like to put and I'm sure NHL franchises are still worth way more, but just at least from the public perception of the NHL versus the MLS right now, I feel like the NHL is closer to the MLS than it is to baseball, basketball, or football. Like anyone who calls it the Big Four anymore is probably Canadian because the NHL just doesn't mean anything.
I think that's unequivocally the truth. I couldn't even debate that. They're close. Yeah, they're not close to third. They're closer to sixth than they are to third.
I'd be curious to know because obviously NFL is number one. What is number two? Is it college football?
It's probably college football. When you look at those rankings where they show the top watch programs of the year, it's like 94% NFL, 5% college, and then 1% like tentpole award shows.
Yeah, like the Oscars.
Yeah. The other ones probably don't. Yeah, people don't even watch.
Yeah, so
and the Oscars used to probably be way higher, like on those lists, but now it's like honestly in the middle of the pack. Like no one gives a shit.
Well, and
maybe I'm wrong.
And it's interesting to pit MLB versus NBA because I think domestically the MLB is probably bigger than the NBA. Like they'll spike bigger ratings unless it's unless it's LeBron versus Steph in the finals, the World Series, I think, still does better numbers than the NBA finals. Just, internationally, the NBA crushes MLB.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA has like a regular season that's essentially just 8 months of Twitter fodder.
Yeah, they're like exhibition games.
Yeah, it works. Stars play, you almost like get less. No other businesses gives you like less for more, but the NBA's found a way. Like stars play less. They play less minutes. They play less often. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever works for them. But in this world where there's only like 8 properties that are worth real money television wise, the NBA being one of them, they all get these enormous deals that make the leagues seem like probably more powerful or probably more popular than they actually are. But it's just the basis of there's only so limited things that are worth anything to TV and the advertisers who pay the money for TV.
Oh, 100%. And basketball was kind of catching up to where baseball got to when they negotiated their, after the strike, I think it was in 94, and the players actually got the huge piece of the pie, and then everyone just started making hundreds of millions of dollars. Basketball's there now, too.
Yeah, but, to go roundabout to the conversation we were having, and maybe this tournament is more shit that, I don't know, people might like this less or more. I've said it a couple times, but a guy like Patrick Cantley, like he's worth nothing to equipment manufacturers. He's worth zero. He's worth zero. Like obviously he gets paid for it, but like, I don't know, they would probably rather give money to a YouTuber learning how to golf.
It's funny because you say that because I was going to bring up the comparison. Do you think it would be in TaylorMade's best interest to give Patrick Cantley a bunch of money or the no laying up guys?
No laying up.
I agree.
No laying up. Honestly, and if we, yeah. And I feel like that's happened. And if like, I don't know, Pat, get the sales guy to start calling like Cobra, Callaway.
Yeah, if any manufacturers, I'll be like Garth in Wayne's World wearing his all Reebok gear. If Cobra wants to sponsor the show, just boom, I'll shill your Cobra.
It would be Puma. Yeah, Pat, I'm telling you.
Team Puma, sure.
By the time the end of the summer, you could show up at your country club with like a staff bag with your name on it.
Oh, that'd be great.
If your sales guy like wants to get on.
Hey, I met the Puma rep when I went to Cabot. Huge fan of the show. If you're watching right now, get at me. We can work out some sort of deal where I'm always wearing Puma
you could
during the golf shows.
100% move. You could move more product than Nate Lashley. I mean, maybe that's not even fair to Nate Lashley. Like, but I go lower on the PGA spectrum or higher, better player. Not saying Nate Lashley's getting equipment deals, but I'm just saying, yeah, these like. They're sponsoring these like good guys, these I don't know, all these golf lifestyle influencers are worth more to them than 5 pro players. Outside of like 5 or 6 pros, these lifestyle golf influencers are worth more to the manufacturers right now.
So if Puma wants to sponsor the Pat Mayo Experience, here's a deal that I can cut. We'll work out the financials about that later on. I'll push some product for you. But I'll also go out and buy, you name your biggest rival as it for Puma. Maybe it is TaylorMade or maybe it's Callaway. And I'll just buy those clubs, all that gear, and then take pictures of him using those clubs. So it works both ways. Yeah. We'll influence it one way, and then we'll get the anti-influence coming in the other way. And Cuss will do it because he gets free stuff.
Yeah. Bro.
Win-win. The point I wanted to circle back
we could do a Breaking 90 series. For some days it's breaking 100, but we could run the series.
Yeah, if we just need to get some equipment and we'll be good to go. The on location
some player
equipment.
Improvement.
Oh,
send me some fresh player improvement irons. Like, let's go.
The same guy. It happened like 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't just to me. It was with the other guy that we were playing with as well. Like, you leave a shot short, you're in, not the thick like U.S. Open rough, but you're in rough trying to chip it up to the hole, trying to get it up and down. And like every time that the ball was hit, like from the rough, just like, it's got to check. I finally turned to him at one point, like, just a very calm voice, like, it's in the rough. It's not going to check. Like, you got to stop saying it. You're killing me here, man. Because
I like that you called him Azinger.
He kind of looked like Azinger too, so that probably wasn't helping, but like just the unnecessary commentary is just destroying me. If anyone ever plays with me and wants to get in my head, do that, because I will lose my fucking mind the entire time, just raging in silence.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like you said, at least with a friend, you have the equity to be like, shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Like, yeah, you have the equity to do it.
But
and then he can realize I'm being an asshole. But
you
held it in.
You know that feeling,
instead of making
though.
his day awkward, your whole day was awkward.
Yeah, so I just left. I pulled the adult move, just didn't say anything, went home, and spent time with my kids. But you know when you're trying to put like a feather touch on a chip and you just hit it way too hard, and you're like, okay, that might go off the back of the green, or just like it's a terrible chip that you've hit, again, way too hard. You feel shitty enough after you hit it.
Yeah. I've many failed feathered chips, like Rory.
Yeah.
Times.
Let's move.
I
will call this the shootout swing of the PGA Tour. We had Travelers, Rocket Mortgage, and John Deere. It's sort of a lull. I don't think it's as big of a lull as you mentioned after the Open Championship where we get, although I really like the Wyndham, and I like 3M too. I mean, I like all these tournaments. I'm going to be into them. And for betting purposes, they're the same numbers. We can bet on them. Maybe these ones are easier. Who knows? But do you like this course, Detroit Country Club?
I don't care much for it. The first year we were here, Nate Lashley won as a Monday quali, right? That was it?
Yeah, he was first round leader and wasn't listed on the first round leaderboard and was first. He went wire to wire as a Monday qualifier.
Was he even available in DraftKings that week? Probably not.
I don't believe that he was. So the winning lineups were all super wonky.
Yeah, that's so funny. No, again, this is part of the season where, like you said, like I'll do cringe. I'll embarrass myself. I will be a below an okay dad during major season, like on a big week, a major week. But weeks like this, like I am literally at my family's service. I don't even remember watching the course outside of the last hours on Sunday if the event mattered. Full disclosure.
I remember Bryson running train at this course with Matthew Wolff trying to make some putts, and it just never came through. And then I remember the Cam Davis chip in because he beat Neiman and someone else in the playoff. And I had Neiman that week, so that was a lot of fun. A lot of people had Cam Davis at big odds that year, too.
Yeah.
And then last year,
yeah.
Who won it last year? Finau.
Maybe I did.
Finau.
I did hit Cam Davis here.
Yeah, you did hit. And this was either the first of the Finau wins or the second of the back-to-back Finau wins. But he won this in Minnesota as well. So we've seen Lashley and Cam Davis win, and then Bryson and Tony Finau win. The one thing that I really noticed looking back at the stats and just observing this course, got to be good off the tee. Very rarely, it just seems like you can drive the ball as far as you want with very little penalty. The rough is up in some places, but it's not prohibitive. So if you're not good off the tee, it's going to take a very special irons and putting week in order to get it done here. I'd rather go with the path of least resistance and take the good off the tee guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what has built itself out here. It's what it's shown. And even if you didn't know, just by being on golf Twitter, it's like bombers only signs on everyone's articles or previews, it seems.
So the top odds this week, they've actually adjusted a lot from when they opened this morning, but Finau remains the betting favorite at 12-1. Then you got Ricky, JT, and Morikawa all at 14-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Max Homa is 18-1. Hideki's at 20. Tom Kim and Sung Jae are at 22. And Keegan, coming off the win, is 28-1. And the only guy in the 30s is Cam Davis, who won 2 years ago, 35-1. I'll just be straight with you. I found a 15. Fowler opened at 18 on DraftKings, and I missed it. And then I saw a 15, and I bet Fowler at 15-1. This is the spot we've talked about for ages. I know that he's in bed with Rocket Mortgage, so maybe he has too many sponsor obligations, but this just is very reminiscent of Jason Day at Byron Nelson. It feels like the win is coming. Let's get them to a weaker field. Well, this field is pretty strong, frankly, for a major elevated event, Canadian Open elevated event before that. This might be the last one that they're playing before they get to the Scottish or even the Open Championship, but this field is a lot stronger than I remember these fields being.
I definitely, when I saw commercials watching the Thursday, Friday coverage of this tournament, and they were showing like JT's face and Ricky and Colin like doing a voiceover, I was like, is this a mistake? Like, are they airing the wrong faces? I don't get it. And then the field came out Friday. I was like, wow, I guess obviously Golf Channel knew you could see who's committed. I never checked their Twitter feed or website. So yeah, it's a lot of words to say there were more names here than I thought. I hope you hit a winning bet. I haven't jumped on. At this point, Ricky's playing great. I've never bet him. Does he need my money to lift him over the finish line? No. I hope you get there. I'm just don't think I'm going to be there. The shortest thing I'm staring at is one of the Asians, like 22 to 1s.
You want Hideki? You want Hideki then?
Yeah, that would be one that seems. I mean, he's been striking it beautifully. Obviously, there's so many variables with him. It seems like when it comes to potentially winning at the moment, but he is just striking it just so gorgeous. And outside of insanely horrific putting weeks at majors, he's actually been fine. And yeah, the ball striking continues to be Finau-esque, but I say that as like the most complimentary thing. So like we're not going backwards ever.
Here's the issue that with Hideki, and maybe this gets rectified this week. I wouldn't say that the ball striking is on point. The approach the approach play is on point. 5.6 last week, 8.6 at the US Open, 4.1 at the PGA Championship, 5.1 at the Byron Nelson, 2.2 at the Memorial. But the driving has been bad since he hurt himself. Like he gained last week, but that's a super short course. He gained at the PGA Championship, which by and large was more of an accuracy course than a distance course, where you were going to gain strokes off the tee. And if bombing really comes into it here, he has not played well at the places where you just go full rip with the driver. He's losing to the field in those events. So that worries me a little bit. It's the same problem I have with Finau, is that this time last, and maybe, listen, we know that Hideki can get it back together at a moment's notice. Maybe this is the week. And I would say the same thing for Finau, but you go look at his driving stats, they're bad.
You make some very fair points there. And it does seem like when Hideki has to really throttle back and get the most out of it, you worry about maybe that's when he like hurts himself or when the neck injuries can flare up. I will say I have zero concern about injury though, having said that. And maybe that's an unfair thing to say about Hideki. Things can always happen, but he's not playing his third week in a row if he's not feeling well.
Oh, I would agree with you. I would completely agree with you on that. I'm just saying that since he was dealing with the neck problems, like the driver's kind of gone into the tank. So maybe it's an adjustment. Maybe he can't turn exactly the way. He doesn't feel comfortable making the swings because the irons are no problem. Like the irons are better than they've ever been. So it could be a mental thing trying to rehab your way back from injury.
And moving along the Pacific Rim for a moment into Korea. It was nice to see Sungjae start to do things because it seemed like he'd been in a real funk and for him, right? 3 of 4 missed cuts, including the majors and a 40th at Memorial. Well, I guess he had such a shitty sun. Shows up, finished 29th at the Travelers. Jeez, I was talking about this guy like I thought he just top 10 or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where did it go off the rails for. I'm trying to say, I guess Friday you bad off the tee. Other than that, like he was pretty good. He putted very poorly on Sunday, lost 2.3 strokes on Sunday, so that really dropped him down the leaderboard. It was nice to see him rebound a little bit. Like he had been objectively terrible in the tournaments preceding that, so at least he's moving back up the right way.
Yeah, and he was objectively awesome in the lead up to the tournaments he was horrible in, like the Players, Wells Fargo, Heritage. I know those are different potpourri of what it takes to be successful at those courses, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is an all or nothing birdie fest. No, he seems like he could be in play, but hard to trust. I don't know that I'm going to bet anyone under 30 to 1 now that we've kind of talked through it. I
did that last week and made my top play Fleetwood at 40 to 1. That was not a success. You missed the cut on the
Not a success, but in terms of process, it was like, I don't know, guy at 180 to 1-1. So I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I went down to the right part.
Reavie at 300 that everyone was outing was in second.
That's true. And then he stopped gaining 3 strokes a day on the greens, and it went the other way, and that was the end of old Chez Reavie. But Thomas, I think, is the very interesting one. I'm just going to ride the form with Fowler. Like that's kind of just recent form. He's been hot. This is a great spot for him. We always bemoan how he basically doesn't play non-elevated events or majors. He's always just playing against the very best guys in the world. And I think the last 2 times that he hasn't done that, he's come inside the top 10. And this seems like a spot where he would be really good. This is the best that he's been playing. So why not now if it's ever going to happen? I saw a few people say it's like, well, he's saving the win for the Open Championship. It's like, well, fuck it.
Right.
I'd rather play him here than at the Open Championship where he's going to probably be like 25-1.
Saving the win for the Open. Okay, so as you've sort of said that, and I'm staring at the odds board and like, do I want to bet Cam Smith? And it's almost like by default, there's really not people. There's so few people I actually think about wanting to bet that maybe it is easier to bet Ricky Fowler at that number because you're not even like being called to other names.
So I would say
for your money in some respect.
The ones that you can kind of come to, I think Justin Thomas. I mean, the putter was still a problem, and the driver was a problem 2 of the 4 rounds. The approach play was immaculate, and you just saw the low rounds that are still in there. So, I mean, the putter got better. He only lost 1.3 strokes on the green instead of 4 like he had been doing in previous weeks, just in 2 rounds. So it seems like he's starting to get the ship righted, but if you feel comfortable with fading him, Morikawa would be the other one who had just had a disastrous day 1 at the Travelers, then had like the 3rd best round of the week on Friday and missed the cut on the number.
Yeah. Will he lack popularity, at least maybe in betting, because everyone seems to be like in this Bombers mindset this morning, or probably through the betting process of the week?
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how people are going to feel about him. Honestly, I just assume that Ricky's going to be the bet that everyone gets on.
And I guess, the week everyone, self-included, like jumps onto Morikawa last week, and it would just be so perfect for him to end his winning streak. The week after, as a community, people were like, no, it's time, Colin. Let's go, buddy. This week with nobody. As for JT, if I was a guy who been riding him, and I know, you had fun with your 50s or 60s, or maybe even there was a 65, 70 out there past week, Pat, might be hard to swallow this number, but if you've been riding him, waiting for it, then I think I'd argue I saw enough. If you're a JT guy to be like, I gotta stay on this thing. I will not be betting it. Hopefully, I'd love to see a good player end their winning streak this week. It'll cost me money though, because I think I'm just betting bad players.
I mean,
hopefully not for a lot of money.
That's a way you can do it. The best of these guys, as it pertains to the past 24 rounds, and I went through this on the research show, like the abbreviated model that I did. That's basically just approach from 150 in, driving distance and off the tee, and then putting from 5 to 20 feet, because it's going to be a shootout. 3 of the 4 winners of this course have been sub -20. So if you're not going to putt, you're not going to win. That's essentially what it boils down to. Fowler is the best in the field. Keegan is second. Ben Ann is actually third, and that's even with disastrous putting stats. And then it's Cam Davis.
It's like Cam Davis 40. I'm sure a lot of people have been staring at it. As high as you can get. I think there's an enhance to the 40. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I need more than what I'm getting to bet Ben Ann. Although I'd be so happy for him, it'd be great. Maybe I say that a lot. I'd be happy for the guy. I don't know. I bet for fun. So it's easy for me to be happy for characters when they win golf tournaments. I can get over it. Especially when all my bets died on Thursday. It's actually really easy. Just be happy for a guy winning on Sunday. I just can't bet this number. It just doesn't. I can't bet Ben Ann at this number. But I've run 2 models. He's like in the top 5 on both. But I don't want to bet him at 55 to 1.
I'm seeing an enhancement of Keegan Bradley up to 40. We've seen this happen. Guys just go back to back. Xander did it last year. Finau did it last year. Why not Keegan Bradley?
Okay, the only thing I would say against it, Pat, is he literally just won a half major. If this was some other event, Keegan won. That's great. Let's ride it. It's like Nick Taylor out of Canada, Wyndham out of a U.S. Open. Keegan out of a Travelers, by Travelers I mean his home event, at an elevated paycheck. You're right. In theory, you're right. But I don't know, man. Those are stars aligning that I might just fade out of principle, but it sounds like it could be an expensive fade on my part.
Homa is at 18. Ton Kim is at 22. I'm fine with letting those guys go. I mean, I like both of them. If they win, whatever. So, yeah, I guess that moves us on to 30 to 100 to 1. I have some names highlighted, but a lot like you. It's not that I feel like the price is too steep. It's just I don't know if I want to start peppering this range with like Taylor Moore's 60 to 1, Hoagie's 55, Harmon's 45. That's Cuss one and done, by the way. Brian Harmon this week. Straka's been steamed down to 50 to 1 all of a sudden. So that's interesting. Chris Kirk just seems kind of lost. And then the guys that I actually do like, Smalley at 60, Aberg at 60, Ben Ann at 55. Where's Spawn at? I like Spawn this week. Spawn 75. I'll probably do that. That's kind of it. Kevin Yu is back. S.H. Kim pops everywhere. He's at 90 to 1, but Eckroat's at 80 on DraftKings. That's probably like an auto bet for mostly everyone. I'll probably get in on that as well. But I don't know. I don't feel great about any of these guys.
Don't feel great about any of them. Am I just supposed to like not watch golf and just bet Aberg and Eckroat? Like I wouldn't. I don't know. Harris English, I'd argue, Pat, the way he's playing, the 40 to 1 could be enticing, man. The guy is coming around bigly at the moment.
I mean, I bet him last week. He did not come around at the Travelers Championship. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but that was like off the everyone playing him. I didn't play him. I am tempted to maybe get in on this 40.
Okay.
That's the one. That's like him and Cam Davis would be as short as I would start my card. And I don't think I'd be alone if my card is starting with Cam Davis. Do worry. He feels perfect. He feels popular. That will never end well. But hey, it's fun I like clicking during the show and then end the show and see everyone else bet him. It's not the greatest feeling.
Let's see. Dietrich rates out really well.
Knew he would. I knew he would. I knew I was going to get suckered in here.
Is he European? We always said that EVR was European Luke List. Is Thomas Dietrich just European Luke List?
Okay, I would always call him European Finau, but Finau actually became a winner. So maybe, yeah, like, and Finau is probably way too high of a compliment. But what I meant by that is the guy would always be around the top. And it didn't matter if it was these super strong, you can laugh at that, you know, because maybe those don't exist. But back in the day, they did European Tour events, or if it was like the biggest loser pillow fight European Tour event, he would just be right there at a live number of like plus 400 on Sunday, but like always lose, continues to lose. But I knew everyone's talking Bombers. I knew there's not a chance in hell I'll probably be able to resist him. And I have to bring it up because of what he did here last year, which pretty much started his run to the President's Cup, would be Pendrith. He has not been that sharp, but he hasn't been horrible either. It's just been kind of lollygagging in the middle. So can you ask for a spike? You can ask for it. Will I get it? Probably not, because I suck.
When do you think the last time he finished inside the top 25 was?
God, I don't have a clue. I want to say, I'm happy I stopped betting him a while ago, but it's probably been forever.
Pebble Beach.
Wow. Would not have guessed that far back. Yeah, he's just okay, I'm opening it. Holy shit.
He's been bad. He's been really bad.
Like, yeah, he just, man. Oh my God. Okay.
He's weirdly, when you look at it, kind of a short course specialist. He had his one result here that was really good. He was second at the Rocket Mortgage, but like Pebble Beach, the Players, the Wyndham Championship, Honda, Barbasol, the Bermuda Open, where he came fifth and he was leading after 54 holes 2 years ago when Lucas Herbert won. Like, I don't know. You see, you see the run up, even when you just open Fantasy National and look at his stats page off the tee. He went on this run before he was hurt, after he was hurt, and came back and then really got hot. 3.8 off the tee, 5.3 off the tee, 2.4 off the tee, 3.2 off the tee. Just look at his numbers off the tee. He's gained more than one stroke off the tee like 3 times in his past 13 starts. He's probably hitting a drive, and then there's a guy in his playing group being like, gotta get left, and he's like fucking freaking out. I get it.
Yeah, and he was playing well in Canada, and then he found a big hiccup, obviously.
Yeah, he came.
Somewhere
Yeah, I mean, he was playing.
65th.
Yeah, he came 65th. Like, yeah, he had a great week though. What did he finish again? Dead last. He had a great week though.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
he was like inside the. He was, yeah, and that was a short course. He was showing life, and something obviously horrible happened to him. But you're right. You're right. You're right. This is a. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one who'd be like, like long hitter, second last year. Let's see, Penrith. 100-1. Let's look at that.
At
Just
his,
make sure you look at it. Make sure you open this up. Because thank you, Pat. I opened it up.
and listen, he's gonna win. He's gonna win now. But I think that everything you say is valid about what his upside is and what his like primary skill set is. I mean, it's not that he's Bryson, but he can putt the lights out when he putts well. Like, he's someone who can have these spike putting weeks that we just talked about with Keegan Bradley, and he can gain off the tee. When Bryson won here, he led all players off the tee and all players in putting. Didn't really do anything else in between. Those are the two things that he did well. Pendrith can do that. It's just, I don't see, like, if you bet it, you're just saying, here is the baseline skill set that I want, and I just don't think 100-1 right now is enough.
Oh, shoot.
What happened?
Nothing.
You okay?
There's no way.
You can't
Just somewhere I might have had an appointment that I'm missing right now, but there's no chance in hell I book an appointment on a Monday morning. So they're probably just confirming a future appointment.
Ah, that's smart. I never book stuff on a Monday morning.
There's just not a chance in hell. It's like my one, I can make other times work in the week with a little bit of notice, but Monday morning it's like dead. No, I'm not available for you.
Did I tell you?
I didn't book an appointment.
Cust is taking a 1 week vacation victory lap.
I was wondering that's how he was rewarding himself. He's using vacation days.
Well, he went on a vacation.
But it wasn't planned.
No, I think it was planned beforehand.
Oh. So, he called his number. He planned the vacation knowing he could be. And that was the great takeaway, Pat, of, he's like all about the credit, and the credit's worth more than the money. But as you pointed out, now he's going on a vacation. It would be nice to have a few extra $100,000 in your, not 100,000, but even if you want to bet small, to have a few hundred or few $1,000s in your account to, maybe spend on something like a vacation. Like, that's why you make the bet, buddy.
Well, I told him, like, there's a direct flight from here to Frankfurt, Germany. I was like, why don't you just go to Frankfurt? It's like not super expensive. And then he was like, oh no, that's way too much money. And he ended up going to Portland, Maine. And I went and looked at like the hotels in Portland, Maine, just to see like what the comp cost was. You can stay in a castle in Frankfurt for like $300 a night Canadian. And in Portland, to have like one of like the 5 best hotels in Portland, Maine, it's like $900 a night right now.
My wife keeps talking about
Portland, Maine.
Maine. Well, it's close, right?
Why don't you just come here?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah, I said maybe come there. And I mean, I haven't spoken to you about it, but in my head, I have this idea where we go out there for a little vacation, maybe around the Open, and
go to Cabot.
I'll stay back. And like we'll do she'll come for a few days, we'll do a thing, and then she'll go home, and then I'll be there for some content and golf, and I'll stay a little longer, and we'll do our thing. But that's just in my head.
Do it that week. Come up the week before with your wife and enjoy the province. You can hang out with me and my wife, with Paul, whoever, with Cust, and then we'll record our stuff on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Maybe I can even do a late Tuesday record with Tambo to have that go for Wednesday, and then we can go up to Cabot for Wednesday and Thursday.
That's like the germ in my head. So yeah, maybe we just spoke it into existence. I don't remember where we were.
We're still betting. We're still in the 30 to 100s. I got Smalley, Eckroat, and Spawn 80, 80, 80. Might be able to find a better number on Spawn. Spawn's ball striking wasn't great last week, but it's been improving. He was good here last year, and on the research, I'm glad I opened up his profile too. The putter has been disastrous for him recently, but he is crushing these greens 3 of the 4 times that he's played on them. And Aberg. I think I'm just gonna bet Aberg to bet him. I just think that he's good. And when I talk to EPAT tomorrow, I'm going to make a case for if the
I want it.
If the Euros are legitimate underdogs, then you have to take him. Like, have fun taking Patty. If Patty Harrington picks himself, I'd rather pick this guy.
Yes, it is Luke Donald, but I literally had
right.
the thought on the weekend also. They should take him.
Just pick him.
Like,
who cares?
The system, Pat, like, it lost a lot of oomph because of Liv, and we don't know how that's going to really play out. And not that those guys would be on the team anyway. I would use this opportunity if it's a question of like these randos in Europe that we like betting on them. We like losing money on them. We like winning money on them. But for the future, you take this guy. Like I'm going to lose money on him for a long time because I watched him play in front of my eyes at Oakdale. And I've said it again, the sound he made when I watched him will maybe be the most expensive sound that I've ever heard in my life because of how much money I'm going to keep investing in this guy. I don't know if the number's fair with these players in the field, but people are saying Bombers only. And I heard this guy make a sound with his driver that I have not heard other golfers make. So based on my affinity for him, and the fact that I bugged him twice for a picture because I looked like I had a stroke in the first one, we're in. Like, I'm in. 60-1. Aberg, let's go. That's the only bet I've actually made today.
So if it comes down to it, like when you look at the back end of this team, like I think Moronk is on the team for sure. But if it comes down,
he won at the course.
Yeah, and listen, he's won 3 times in the past year. Like you take the guy, he's good. If it comes down to like the Højgaards or Yannick Paul, just fucking take this guy.
Yeah, like for me, like the case I like to make for Larrathable because he's a good short game. No, fuck off. You bring this guy.
Well, when did Rom first get on the team? Because I'm sure this discussion happened around Rom when he was like
Rom had already won. I think it was like the years worked where he was already a winner.
Okay.
Like, if that makes any sense. There was never a debate, I feel. Like, it wasn't even like this. He was just on the team.
And there wouldn't be if the Ryder Cup was next year, he would be on the team. It's just he's so new to the scene. But like he said, like their back end is kind of weak. If you can take a guy who projects to potentially be the #1 player in the world, just take him now. Make that bet.
Take him now. Give him the experience. And then we'll be on, where are we? Whistling on a Bomber's Paradise? No, on a perfect course for him?
They just played Whistling Straits.
Oh, not Whistling. Bethpage? We're in New York.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. My fault. I just knew it was a Bomber's course. Yeah. Well, come on. Get him the reps. Even in an L. I don't care. I think for team building, for future prospects, it's not the same as the Americans bringing Scheffler without a win because he had just had such a great year and he really did show himself in majors. It's very different, but I agree with you. If you're such an underdog to begin with, then there's an opportunity to use the week for him, for the future, for the glory of Ryder Cup Europe.
And I know this is going to be a difficult question for you to answer, but if it comes down to it, are you taking Aberg or Dietrich? Because I don't think that's a conversation to be had.
Not close. Dietrich can't... Not close. Like, if it's you take the guy who has the future upside, who you want him there. Let him freaking feel it. And I know it's corny, but remember like the one before Scheffler was on or something? They said he was there as like a fan just watching. No. Like, instead of Aberg having a fan experience, just let him fucking in the locker room. You can hide him. You can hide the 12th man. You're going to have to hide the loser 12th man anyway. May as well be him. You'll watch him embarrass himself now for a month of golf. But
yeah. Listen, he needs to play well between now and the FedEx Cup to get on this team. But I think it's a live conversation.
He's going to go to the John Deere at 20-1, Pat. Right?
Probably. Unless he
25-1?
Unless there's something over in Europe, unless he decides to play the Irish instead of the John Deere.
If he wants to, I'm sure he's a lot like he can be invited anywhere he wants to put a tee in the ground.
Well, if he actually wants to be on the Ryder Cup team, that's actually super sharp to go play the Irish because it's a Rolex Series event, which are worth like super points in European Ryder Cup.
Yeah, or maybe, but winning like the shittiest PGA field of the year could be a great opportunity too, to sort of get you the same equity, but less You know what I mean? Kind of like,
Yeah, but
one
if
off.
he plays the Irish, he doesn't have to lose to Michael Kim. He can just win that one.
Michael Kim 35-1 next week. Get ready for it.
10-1, Michael Kim. I'm betting it. So Aberg, Smalley, Eckroat, Spawn. I'll make a decision on probably 3 of those guys. Jaeger and Justin Suh also kind of made the short list for me. S.H. Kim was another one who just rates out really well. But I don't think that I can get there with S.H. Kim. Although I think that he's in that 100-1 range. Maybe he's not. Maybe if he's 200-1, I will bet him. Where is he here? S.H. Kim.
I see him. He's 90, 100, 110.
Yeah, no thank you on that one. The other one who rated out really well was Vince Norman. Dude can't putt, but just he has every other skill that you would want here.
Yeah, I was definitely going to bring him up. I don't know that I'm betting him, but I think he's going to be a darling just based on profile. And I've seen his name show up on people I respect betting cards. Not this week. I haven't seen any. Still pretty early, but just in the past. So this feels like a better course fit than where people have been betting him before. I knew we would see him.
Like you look at his numbers, they're essentially Luke List numbers. Like off the tee, great. Driving distance, great. Wedge game, great. He doesn't rank better than 94th in this field in any of the putting stats.
Yeah, it's tough. You're going to still need to make a lot. Like even Keegan, the guy's walking in 15 footers on Friday for like an hour period. He's walking in 4 straight putts all over 10 feet. To Vince Norman, like obviously the field isn't as strong, but like you are going to have those moments of white hot to win at this score, right?
Yeah, you're not getting to minus 26 if you're not making putts. It's as simple as that. That's why I kind of like Ricky. At least I know Ricky can putt.
Ricky.
Like Finau, and that's not to say it can't flip the other way. Like Finau is not historically a great putter, but when he wins, he putts well. It's not like he always putts poorly. But Morikawa has been in the tank. Thomas has been in the tank. Hideki's been in the tank on the greens. At least Ricky is the one guy who consistently putts well. Even Homa's kind of gone the other way.
Yeah, no, you bring up good points of all of those like names and the ones you have to pay the premium for. He's got that edge. What you mentioned Straka's number crumbling. Was there a number you liked or you were looking at and you missed? And
no, I didn't. Because I had considered Spawn and not Straka. So he had popped up a few times and stuff that I was looking at, but it's not like he's just really good off the tee. I guess that's why people are going for him. Like outside of, you want to talk about like weird spike weeks. We always talk about spike putting weeks. Somehow, Straka just has spike approach weeks. He loses the majority of the weeks with his irons, but when he gains 7 at the Memorial, over 10 at the PGA Championship, 4 at Valero, 7 at Honda, and almost 6 at Century. Other than that, it's like -1, -2, -0.6. It's usually like slightly below average to really bad unless he's the best in the field. So I get why you would want to bet on someone like that because he's putting well, he's chipping well, and the driver's been really good. If you can just match that up with one of his really good iron weeks, he's more than live to win.
Yeah. And you mentioned Jaeger. That's a guy who's been like loitering with some good golf for a while now.
T5 at this tournament last year too.
Yeah, so he's probably on like the best overall run of his pro career. Now he's going back to a course where, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be some Jaeger stan, but like to remember where his great form started, but probably like his favorite like his best pro result. Well, PGA result.
Yeah, he did shoot a 58 on the Corn Ferry Tour once, but yes, he was 5th at the Rocket Mortgage last year. Previous to that, he was 6th at the Wells Fargo like a month before. He has fewer top 10s than you'd think for a guy who's been kind of consistently around. Like how many top 10s do you think he has this year?
No, you're right. And I opened it now, so I would be cheating.
The answer is none.
So you're right. The answer is none. But he does just seem to, like, for a couple moments, be playing really well in really strong events, I would say. Like, I'm acknowledging where my perception probably comes from. But he's another guy. Like, is he going to get the white hot to get to the 25 under? He can hit it to 5 feet all week. I've seen him get white hot approach.
Yeah, and the putting has been better. He had lost on the greens in 10 straight events at the beginning of the year. And at least he's gained in 3 of his past 5 now. He did lose 7 last weekend at the Travelers, so that's not great. But the most he's gained is 4.4, 6.2 in Houston over the swing season. It was a much better putter, starting actually at this tournament last year. He gained 5.1 at this event, then set off a streak of gaining on the greens in 8 straight weeks. We saw that with Griot earlier during the swing season as well, that all of a sudden he stopped losing 5 strokes a week on the green. He was a positive putter until it went back the other way again, and then he ended up getting the win later on. Maybe Jaeger is someone to look at. I like him. If he wins, like, I know that Yannick Paul is being discussed for on the team, but if it was between you and it came down to the 2 Germans, wouldn't you just take Jaeger over Yannick Paul? Like, he's doing it on the better tour. He's not winning, but he's just playing better.
And that's like the debate you often have, is how to quantify some of these Euros who we like, who, you know, win us money or don't win us money, but give us sweats to make us think they're pretty good. Detri's been doing it to me for a while. I see a lot of our friends are like in on Yannick Paul pretty hard, but to your point, yes, Steven Jaeger's probably the better golfer by virtue of where he plays and that he's consistently like middle of the road PGA Tour golfer. I don't know that Yannick Paul's ceiling is that. Maybe that's unfair to Yannick. There's another guy you brought up who I was looking at. He's playing horrible. And I thought there'd even be a bigger number for how poorly he's played, but so few guys have wins this year in that part of the board.
Is it Luke List?
No, it's Taylor Moore.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I feel like he had his moment. I mean, I'm auto-betting Bhatia because I do that every week. But other than that, like the 2 that I wanted to give the most love to down at the bottom, Carson Young just is playing good golf. He's better than Cameron Young right now.
He's so tiny.
He doesn't hit the ball very far. He's not a bomber, put it that way.
Like, I saw a video of JT. It was like Woodland congratulating Fowler on his 10 under round on Saturday. And Woodland's like arm almost took off Carson Young's head because he's so tiny and he almost walked through it. That was a weird explanation, but, you know, listen, I saw Eric Cole in person. Guy like 120 pounds soaking wet. Yeah,
because I was trying to explain to someone the other day, like Rory driving the ball. They're like, man, Rory's, I don't get how he drives the ball so hard. It's like, I don't get it either, because Rory is essentially my size. Like, almost like to the T, height, weight, whatever it is. Obviously, he's in better shape than me, but I just don't get how he can hit the ball 150 yards farther than I can. Like, that's so much, how much form can come into it. Just, he's the best.
And I would say to both of your like super long shot here suggestions in Bhatia and Carson Young, I trust them.
Bhatia is just a FOMO bet. He's like the old Luke List. The other one I was going to bring up was Crazy Carl Wan.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Crazy Carl's 21st in driving distance. Not great off the tee, but you don't have to hit a ton of fairways here. So he's great in driving distance, and he can putt from inside 15 feet. And like, he used to fill it up on the Corn Ferry Tour. This feels like a Corn Ferry event.
Yeah, and that's sort of why I was like, I don't know if it's Bhatia can shoot a 9 under. Feels like if it's out there as well as outside of anyone who isn't the top guys. And his tee to green has been outstanding. And Carl Jan and another one. I don't know. Mash and go get it. But Bhatia's like his approach, Pat. Like, it's been pretty freaking solid.
Yeah, just don't look at his putting splits.
Yeah, but
unless he's playing in the tropics, it's not so hot. Like, the 2 times that he's actually gained strokes putting this year was at Corrales, Puerto Rico, and Mexico. He likes those slow past Palom greens.
We'll say I wasn't even looking at Bhatia's. That was someone else's page. That's where the fat thumb will get you. Because I was shocked. I'm like, he hits the ball that well?
I mean, Bhatia does hit the ball
I don't know.
well.
That's you got to Bhatia's. For peace of mind, Pat's betting Bhatia is what he's saying.
Exactly. So quick picks and one and done for the week. I mentioned that Cuss is taking Harmon in the one and done. If I haven't used Ricky, I'll probably use Ricky. Let's see. Have I used Ricky? I have not. I'll use Ricky.
I'm shocked you didn't. I'm sorry, I'm going off script. I'm shocked you didn't mention Bez. You usually mention him in these shitty events. Like
yeah,
over
but
60.
I'm trying to get better.
Okay, yeah. I guess if you're betting Ricky, maybe there's just less names.
Yeah, I mean, when he's at 15-1, there's only so many guys I can bet, and the only one I'm really committed to after him is Aberg and Bhatia at 100 and something to 1. Maybe that's it. I mean, that's all I do this week. Trying to find that bet. I mean, I got wiped out last week, except for that bet that I brought up, the over 62 players. I crushed that.
Yeah, as you said you would. You
Yeah.
called that from go. That was shit.
That was. Are they gonna players under par this week? Yeah. So now it's adjusted to over 74. I mean, it's over 74 at plus 190.
Okay.
Let me look.
I know
back
you went to.
And I did find out that players who miss the cut but finish under par do count. Not that it mattered last week because everyone finished under par except for one guy on the weekend. But if the cut, what's the past cut line here? It's went down the past few years because you can. But although the winning score is like minus 26, which is kind of crazy to think about, and this is a pretty bad field. Yeah, the last 2 years the winning score has been, or the cut line has been -2. So you get all your -1s stuck in there. How many guys finished under par last year? In this field, as we said, is probably a little bit better. So everyone who made the cut finished under par. So that was 75 guys. And then you had a bunch of guys on the number who just missed. I have to go back and do some more research on this to go get a full look of it. But I don't know. I'll have to toy around with that one. It ended up closing at minus 190 last week from the plus 115 from when we bet it. So I think that they're like actually paying attention to people regulating this market now.
Maybe. And that's with a lot of things, like in what is essentially a niche sport. You find these numbers or you like can see a huge advantage, and it might take the books a little to catch on. But then I'm sure they notice the amount of action said bets are taking. I know you asked for one and done, but I'd be doing everyone a disservice if I asked why you didn't mention this guy, one of your favorites, who's playing really well, Pat. 100 to 1, Doug Gim.
Gim Reaper?
Is he? Yeah, is he not like doing the things that you always bet him because he did?
Oh, he's down to 100 to 1. I bet him last week. And just even in the tournament last week, I think he ended up shooting minus 15 or something like that. He was really good. I just worry that, again, like if we're at a tournament where you're going to have to get into the 20s, like when was the last time he gained more than 2 strokes or 3 strokes on the greens? And like the
2.5 at the Heritage.
That's great. He lost across the board tee to green. He at the 3M Open last year, he gained 4.5. And that is the only time in his career outside of the Farmers in 2021 that he gained more than 2.5 strokes on the greens. Like he just can't. Maybe this is the week where he gets the putter solved and it works for him. But I just don't see that being a successful strategy at this course. Like let's just take a look at Rocket Mortgage last year. Rocket Mortgage last year, he lost 5.1 in a miscut, gained 0.9 the year before that. But let's just take a look at the strokes gained of the leaders. And a lot of this is in my column up on DK Nation this week, too, when I take a look back at some of this stuff. Everyone inside the top 10 gained on the greens. 4.5, 4.6, 4.6, 3.4, 5.1, 2.3. Tom Kim at 0.8 was the highest finisher that didn't gain a boatload of strokes on the green. He gained 9.8 tee to green, and he finished like 10 back. Wyndham Clark, 4. JJ Spawn, 6.5. Matt Wallace, 5.3. Like, these are big putting weeks, and Gim just doesn't seem to have that in him. So we take a look back at the year previous, and we take a look at the leaderboard. Cam Davis was like the worst of the putters near the top. He still gained 3.1, 7.2, 5, 6.1, 4, 3.2, 0.2 for Bubba, 6, 7.3, 2.9. So a top 10 I could see with a shit putting week. A win, I just don't see it.
That's the Doug Gim case or anti-case.
When we get to a tournament that allows you a bit more flexibility where you don't have to just make every 15-foot putt or 9-foot putt, then yeah, I think he's more than alive because of the ball striking that's returned for him. But this is going to be a tough one for him. It's just like we talked about with Scotty and Scotty's in a whole different tier, But think about the way that he is striking at tee to green, even at the Travelers, even at Byron Nelson, and he can't win in these birdie fests because he just doesn't make enough putts.
Yeah, of course. It's harder for him. And as you mentioned, look at the guys that were near the top last week. Like, they went white hot, like unconscious for extended periods of time. Ches, Keegan, Denny, all the guys with that late Sunday tee time.
So one and done for you. I got Ricky, Custez, Harmon. Who are you taking? I have it up in front of me in case you want to run some names by me.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go with Cam Davis.
Okay. You have not used Cam Davis. I can assure you of that. So boom, you were in on him. So quick picks in the bets. I bet Ricky at 15-1. I'm going to bet Aberg at 65-1. And then after that, I'll have the final bets in the newsletter, but I'm toying around with Smalley, Eckroat, Spawn. Probably most definitely going to bet Spawn. Batias and Otto, Jaeger. I'm not going to get to all those guys, but Eckroat and Smalley do stick out. It might be Aberg, Smalley, Eckroat, Spawn, and Ricky, those 5. Maybe Crazy Carl down at the bottom.
Interesting. So I'll be on, I've bet Aberg. That's the bet that is in for me. I'm staring at, if I get there at the very top, it would be Hideki, maybe Sungjae, but I definitely lean Hideki there. Obviously worry about the full throttle driver. Cam Davis, the 40-1s. I don't even know if they're still available as I'm talking to you. I hope that I can put my head down and see it. Yeah, we mentioned Aberg. Man, I could save a lot of money this week. I don't have that discipline. I'm betting Detry. He keeps showing up. I have to trust him. Course fit for me and Detry. So yeah, that's it. Maybe Bez too, because I feel like I've bet him at a lot of these shitty events. So maybe we try that putter one more time.
I'm gonna say I would feel more confident with Bez next week. I mean, if we're talking about driving distance, great driving. Like, he sucks off the tee.
Yeah, that is very true. He's actually the worst. I do like Taylor Moore, but if he's already had his moment, then maybe that's just a dead fish money.
It's not dead fish money because you got your Taylor Moore money.
Yes, love that. Very different ask, right? Valsparty here.
I would think so, yes. I think it's a different type of course. Like, I probably would have, if I was going to bet him, I probably would have bet him last week. Even though this field is much weaker, you got a better number in that crossover of the course. Good news, the Listeners League is now available. You can get that down in the description. I just got the email with the link, so boom. Might as well enter.
I like so few players this week. Yeah, it could just be, like, by default, Cam Davis and Harris English, after I didn't bet him, but so many people did last week. I think this type of course, I could work perfectly for him. Aberg, Detry, and yeah, I feel Eckroat 80. That's what everyone's got to do if it's still available.
Do you think that when Aberg is on the Ryder Cup team, that he'll have like a Goldberg type entrance? I feel like we could do that. We could really make a push for that. Aberg.
He's so like, honestly,
Aberg.
He could be my new DJ.
Man,
like,
all you need to do is run into Geoff in real life, and biggest fan alive.
No,
forever.
He's like he is just a tall drink of water. The way he just like walks that fairway after hitting it 340.
And he seems to hit it down the middle every time too, which is a huge advantage.
Oh my! I'm telling you, I walked with him for 3 holes. That might be the most expensive walk I'll ever go on in my life. I don't go on many walks, look at me. But I mean, there's a chance that walk costs me for 1.5 years until I clue in.
Well, that was a better outcome for me. I just opened up the page, and they're offering Ricky at 18-1 on an enhancement, so I cashed out my 15 at even money and bet the 18.
Hey, good for them. Why not? I saw Ricky and Justin were their offers today.
Yeah, for me, it was Ricky and Keegan, but
I don't even see Ricky.
No.
I see Justin and Keegan, but maybe if I update it, it'll be Ricky. I hope you win.
Thank you.
I won't even feel like I don't want to sound like Tim, because there's other currency, and the important one matters. But I will feel like as happy as people who won a lot of money if Ricky wins. I say that a lot, but I promise you it's true.
All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. We got Eric Patterson coming on tomorrow to talk about how golf betting lines are actually constructed, plus Ryder Cup and all fun things golf. Join the Listeners League down in the description. Smash the like and sub to Mayo Media Network on the way out. We'll be here all week, so please come back and join us. But until then, I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!